What is good, YouTube? It is the GoatCast podcast. And of course, I am Big Nige, obviously joined by CW. How we doing today, CW?
We're tired, but we're here.
Always good to be here, even when you're tired. Gotta show
Oh
up.
yeah, gotta show up.
So today we have a new segment. It's called WNBA Wednesdays. We're going to give you guys our thoughts on what's going on in the WNBA. So that being said, we have a very coveted matchup coming up between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Obviously, we have two very popping rookies. Before I get into this matchup, I'm going to give you guys for the first month of the WNBA, we've seen just the impact of this amazing rookie class. So roughly 1 month into the WNBA, these obviously these star rookies have impacted the WNBA, beefing up their security, travel, and ticket sales. So I'm gonna get into the travel first. So it was announced on May 7th, 2024. The WNBA will begin providing full-time chartered flights to all teams this season. Now, I know there has been some issues throughout the past few weeks. I know like two teams have fully started, like the beginning of the season, fully chartered flights all season. That's a very big deal. Other teams like the Liberty, they've kind of like had ongoing discussions with the commissioner. You even saw like players like Breanna Stewart, they're tweeting out with the little plane emoji question mark to the WNBA. And obviously it's not a perfect fix, but we're still, gearing up in the right direction. And that's obviously in large part to, these rookies with these star names like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But a little bit more on the travel. This will cost the WNBA roughly $25 million per year for the next two seasons. And according to Joe Pompolino, I think that's his name if I'm not butchering it correctly, he's a sports, he's like very big in the sports business world. So he has a huge following. He said that they're projected to make that money back with the rise in revenue, and it will cover, if not all of it, most of that 25 million that they are about to start jetting out for these flights. So with that, and I also brought up the ticket sales. So the WNBA ticket sales are up 93%, according to StubHub. And this is again driven by Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Kamilla Cardosa, who still has not played yet, but will be coming back real soon for that coveted matchup. And also on the backs of the defending champs, Kelsey Plum and A'ja Wilson. So with that being said, other like notable like ticket sales increase, because it's not just those teams I just mentioned, but we have the Las Vegas Aces, obviously again by Kelsey Plum, A'ja Wilson. They got the New York Liberty, who of course had the 2023 MVP Breanna Stewart. And if you haven't seen her game, she is one hell of a basketball player. If you haven't seen her, you guys definitely need to go check her out. She is one of a kind, and she's got a bag like no other I've seen in the WNBA. Of course, we got the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, just by them drafting her, immediately doubled the Fever's average ticket prices. And as a result, other teams who play them, obviously, they'll get a piece of that pie too, because obviously, their ticket prices have doubled as well. Obviously, you got the Seattle Storm. Of course, we got the Chicago Sky, because of course you got Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardosa. Joining that roster. Two high-profile names, especially in women's college basketball. And then some other teams to mention. So we give everybody some love out here. Got the Atlanta Dream, the Minnesota Lynx, the Dallas Wings, Washington Mystics, even though their record's kind of bad, but their average
You ain't much better.
No, for real. Yeah, they're definitely not. The average ticket price pre-pandemic for those teams were about $33, and now we're sitting at about $45 post-pandemic. So we've seen I know I went a little quick, so I want to give you guys just a brief overview of just the impact of this rookie class. So I'm going to ask CW and kind of pose it to him. What are your thoughts on the impact that I've just laid out for the WNBA from this amazing rookie class?
I mean, it's perfect for the WNBA because it's the perfect storm. Because last year they had what they said was a record year, and now they've, you know, from that they've bumped themselves back up even further. I saw where I think that Sparks Fever game, they had like 19,000 people in the arena,
Yeah, I think something like that.
and
Yeah.
that was like almost equivalent to some of the Laker games, which is insane. That you have a rookie in Caitlin Clark that's bringing in masses, and I mean, you can only go up from there. And the fact that this is becoming a commodity and people are actually following it now and actually talking about it, just like we're talking about it in the midst of the NBA conference
Right.
finals, that's big time. So it's sky's the limit. I mean, you just see how these few rookies have done so much to take the WNBA to the next level. And I mean, I don't see them stopping here. I think it's just in the fact that they're getting charter. I mean, that's long overdue, but getting those charter jets and stuff like that, that kind of transportation for safety. So that's showing that they're big time. They're not flying commercial, like us. So they're actually getting chartered to these different cities. And the WNBA, I'm sure the NBA is giving them a few dollars, down the pipe. But I think they're seeing that this is game changing. So they have to do the little things to make sure that the people get to see these guys. And it's still a little weird with how they present the WNBA because it's on channels like Ion, which I don't even know what channel that is. But
Yeah.
you baby steps. I think it's doing the things it should do, and they're going to move to the next level as these players grow and as the interest continues to grow.
Yeah, and I agree with the sentiment. And segueing into this, as we've talked about these phenomenal rookie players, now we have the coveted matchup of the Indiana Fever, who play the Chicago Sky. So obviously, we know that the Indiana Fever have, of course, star guard Caitlin Clark. In 8 games, Caitlin Clark, it's a lot of ups and downs, but she's averaging 17 points per game, 5.4 rebounds a game, 6.3 assists per game, 1.4 steals per game, 1.1 blocks per game, which is a team high, which I want to add because she got a lot of flack, and she still kind of gets picked on in the WNBA for her defense, but it was a very apparent on the collegiate level that her defense would get kind of exposed at times.
Yeah.
So to see her, fill up those stat sheets, and while also, as being a rookie and knowing that she has more to grow and more to learn, it's good to see her fill up that side of the stat sheet instead of just scoring. But she's shooting the ball at 38% from the field, 31% from the 3-point line. I think that will
not
obviously
great.
It's not great, but I think it's only a small sample size, and she's continuing to learn, get to her spots, and understand the WNBA game as opposed to the college game, which she dominated.
Yeah.
So we know Indiana Fever are 1-7. I will pose a question to you after I'm done running through this for the Fever.
Okay.
They are winless at home, as they are 0-3, and they're 1-4 away. But Caitlin Clark, she's coming off of a 30-point game and a loss to the Los Angeles Sparks, where she ended up dropping, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. And I did get to catch some of that game, and she played really well. I mean, I'm not going to say she had a perfect game, but what I will say is I was more impressed about her defense than her offense that game, because you couldn't really pick on her too much. They kind of had her kind of roaming, kind of like a free safety in the defense they were playing. And she showed that in the right system, she can be a very good defensive player. Not saying defensive player of the year or nothing crazy like that, but she's shown in spurts. She's a great, weak side shot blocker. I've seen her challenge girls 4 or 5 inches taller than her at the rim, just using her, quickness and her IQ in the game to get to the right spots on defense to make a play on the ball. But with them being 1-7, obviously they've had. So there's some rumors out there that fans are thinking that the WNBA are kind of not blackballing her, but kind of tampering her with the Fever's record because they've played the New York Liberty twice, the Aces. I think they played the Aces twice, and no, excuse me, the Connecticut Sun twice, the New York Liberty twice, and then the Aces one time. Those are five really good teams, and obviously they lost to every single one of them. But I
Yep.
gotta ask, is there some tampering going on with the Fever and their tough schedule compared to some other teams?
No, I mean, there's not that many WNBA teams, so there's only 12 teams. So what you want to put against the bottom of the barrel first? No, you want those highlight teams. You want them to play the teams that have some type of notoriety, which the Liberty, of course, the Aces, because they're the defending champions. You put her and that team against the top crop. If you're smart, you're marketing the WNBA. You're not just marketing Caitlin Clark. She can do well against those teams. I mean, yes, she's a rookie, but she can, and she has her rough nights and a lot of turnovers.
Yes.
But at the same time, does anybody pick that up in the box score? Or does anybody pay attention to that during the game? Yeah, you'll notice that she's throwing the ball away a certain amount of times, but as long as she's making some highlight reels during those games, that's the point they're trying to make. You want to put her against the marquee teams early to get that interest. Yeah, she's going to lose. She's a number one pick. She's on the worst team, obviously, in the WNBA, or was the worst team until they got her. So I don't think there's any tampering per se. I think they're trying to play the market game where they're trying to bring in eyeballs to see her against the best of the best. Once they see that the best of the best is a little too much for Caitlin, it'll drop down. But somebody said something that made me think about this, and it was true. It's kind of like how Colorado with Deion Sanders and that team in college, they played teams they could beat early, which helped them, but those weren't marquee matchups. But they became marquee matchups because, of Deion Sanders. But here they're doing the opposite, where they're putting her up against top teams, but it's still leading to sellout crowds. It's leading to a lot of us talking about her. So I think they're doing what they're supposed to do in this situation because they're trying to hammer home the WNBA is the place where the best women play. And as good as Caitlin Clark is, there's players that are better than her, and they want to showcase that early and kind of get that fan base growing. So I don't think they're tampering per se, but I think they're strategic in what they're doing.
Okay, because it's funny that you mentioned that, like obviously they're playing the best. So speaking of the best, we're going to transition a little bit. My guy LeBron has a quote on Caitlin Clark since we're still talking about her.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, don't get it twisted. Don't get it bleeped up.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are going to happen to the WNBA.
Absolutely.
Now, so obviously I agree with the GOAT himself. I just had to throw him in there. This is the GOAT cast. I got to get the GOAT's quote out there at some point. But no, I mean, it's the only thing concerning for sure, and as of her early play, the 5.5 turnovers a game, obviously we've got to cut that number down significantly, especially since she's, one of the main ball handlers on that squad, albeit not a very good squad, but we still don't want to see 5.5 turnovers a game. We'd like to see that number cut down a little bit, but it's obviously, it's rookie mistakes and things that she will get better and grow from. Now we're going to transition to the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese. So she's averaging 12 points a game, which is tied for third on her team. She's leading her team in rebounds at 8.6. Mm-hmm. She has 1.8 assists per game, 1.2 steals a game, no blocks. Biggest surprise of the stat line, no blocks.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
And I'm sure that she's altered some shots, and from the plays that I've seen, she moves her feet well, and she's obviously 6'3", so she's fairly large. Obviously, there's some bigger women out there, and even if they're the same height as her, that she's giving up a lot of size in the post. But she's shooting the ball 37% from the field, 67% from the free throw line. Not the most impressive stat in terms of, especially when you're a wing or a forward in her case. I'd like to see her shoot that free throw a little bit better, but again, as she continues to get better, I'm sure that those numbers will tick up. Um, Obviously, the Sky's 2-3. They're fourth in the East, just a place above the Indiana Fever, who are 1-7, and they are fifth in the East. Um, Another key point is they're winless at home. They're 0-2, but they are 2-1 away, and this matchup is at their home floor. So I would assume that they'd be able to take this, but I'll get into that a little bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
Just like as I mentioned on Caitlin Clark coming off her recent game, Angel Reese, she's coming off of a career high 12 rebounds. This is her first double-double. She had 11 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Of course, they still lost to that Seattle team, but another thing to mention, she was the first rookie since I think it's Ryan Howard, which was the number 1 pick back in 2022. For those who do not know, she had 5 consecutive double-digit scoring performances, which is one thing that Miss Caitlin Clark has not done. So we must give Angel Reese her flowers there, even though she might not be scoring as much. She's not as prominent in the offense as Caitlin Clark. At home, she's shooting 44% from the field. And away, she's shooting about 33% from the field. So definitely kind of a night and day aspect there in her game. What are your thoughts on Miss Angel Reese so far?
We'll get into this further when we talk about who's impressed us the most so far. But she's fit into the WNBA better than I thought she would. Watching her in that college tournament, the NCAA tournament, I have doubts that I'm going to say this. I had doubts she'll even make a WNBA roster. I think it would be more so for her namesake than for her actual talent. But from what I've seen, she has fully grasped the physicality. She's able to play her game. She looks a lot better actually in the WNBA than she looked in college, which is crazy to me. So yeah, Angel Reese she's impressed me. Just looking at her numbers and just looking at her style of play here in the WNBA, where these women are big and they're physical and because of the everything, the hype of these young players, they're coming at these kids. But Angel Reese she stepped up and she's been she's done fairly well and she's been stable. Her numbers have been kind of what they're going to be. And I haven't seen her I haven't watched the Sky's games like that, but I've looked at her numbers and she's been fairly consistent throughout those games. So yeah, she's impressive, I think. So yeah, sky's the limit for her. No pun intended, but yeah.
So a notable rookie that we have not mentioned yet, Kamilla Cardosa. She got injured in the preseason. It was a shoulder injury. And it's ironic because even though it was supposed to be, I think, a 3 to 4 week or longer recovery time for her injury, she miraculously is all better and is scheduled to play in their Saturday matchup against the Indiana Fever. And I think I'm pretty sure to a report, it was yesterday, there was a report that she said she is pain-free and on track to return to action this week.
What kind of
Julia Poe of the Chicago Tribune reports. So do we think that they're rushing her back for this marquee matchup to participate in this, rookie face-off?
I'm gonna say it like this. Obviously, the WNBA, like the NBA, they need that narrative. They need the storylines and everything to build their brand and continue to get these women paid. But what better way than to defeat your arch nemesis, Angel Reese, and the last woman on the team that beat you in the NCAA finals? If Caitlin Clark can come in and beat those two, which can happen because the Chicago Sky aren't that great, then that's a whole storyline that ESPN, Fox Sports, all these different media outlets can run with. So, yeah, obviously they want her to be a part of this game. And if that means her not being 100%, they're gonna let that happen because that's big money. I mean, that's the Fever are going to sell out anything they do right now, but they're going to sell out beyond if she's playing both Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardosa in a high stakes game. It's not high stakes because they're both terrible teams, but it's high stakes enough because you have a storyline. And sadly, the WNBA is, you have your higher ranked teams and the aces in those teams, but they're not first page news right now. So as good as they're playing, it's all about Caitlin Clark. It's all about Angel Reese and now Kamilla Cardosa. So yeah. So I believe they're rushing her back. If this was anybody else, she would get to actually heal that shoulder. But no, they need her for this game so they can do all the narratives and storylines.
I'll even take it a step further because I agree with everything you're saying. I think she is getting rushed back a tad bit too early. But of course, when you got, some of the biggest names in your sport, and she's one of them, even though she hasn't played yet, it's a no-brainer for the WNBA to go ahead and cash in on this. But another matchup is also Aaliyah Boston and Kamilla Cardosa. They were former teammates in South Carolina. So that's another big thing. And they're, obviously some ginormous women. I think Boston is like 6'5" and Cardosa is listed at 6'7". So like similar games. I'm just from looking at them back when they played in South Carolina, obviously, just at different times. I know Cardosa got the rap for being a little bit more passive than Boston was, but still, that could be another matchup that they want to exploit. And what better rivals than former teammates?
Exactly.
So
it's all about the narrative.
Story. Yeah, it's all about the narratives.
Yeah.
So just getting into like the game and like how these teams match up. My biggest concern for the Fever is they're allowing almost 90 points per game compared to the Sky, who's only averaging 81. Obviously, those aren't great numbers in either respects, but definitely the Fever, they're giving up way too many points. And obviously, this is going to be on the road, so it's going to be even tougher because it's going to be at the home of the Chicago Sky, who haven't won at home, but they've also played some pretty tough teams on their home floor. Another point of interest is the steals. The steal discrepancy for these teams. The Sky averaged 10.6 steals per game as a team, and the Fever only averaged 6.8, which means if you look a little deeper, the Sky have 3 players averaging 2+ steals a game. And then what do we have with Caitlin Clark? She's very turnover prone with ball pressure. Make her make a decision. It's going to lead to some of these steals that these women are picking up. So I think it could be another high turnover night for Caitlin Clark, just because of the immense ball pressure that the Fever can provide. I will say in a moment of history, the Fever have notoriously beat the Sky. They played 86 times in all of their matchups. The Fever have beat them 53 times, and they've lost 33 times. However, if we're just looking to last season, a little bit more closer to where we are now, the Sky have been dominating them. I mean, I think you could go farther back to 10 games. I think I only went back 5 games. They're 4-1. They're absolutely destroying the Fever of this, and this was dated back to last year. So I don't see any reason to pick the Fever over the Sky. I mean, obviously, Caitlin Clark can get hers, but without much offensive production from anybody else, it's going to be a very tough game for her to win on the road, especially by herself. And obviously, she has Boston. There's other pieces on that team, not minimizing any of the efforts on that team, but I just think they're a little outmatched with the Sky, and the Sky's a better rebounding team. I mean, they have multiple women who's averaging at least 7 rebounds a game compared to Fever, who only have 1, and she's barely averaging, I think, 7 rebounds a game, which is it's not Boston, but it's the what's her name again? What is her name again? But wait, excuse me, it's Smith. Excuse me, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't really see a way for this version of the Fever this early in the season to beat the Chicago Sky.
Yeah, and what we got to understand is even though the WNBA's structure is a little different, these are 2 lottery teams. this is like the Wizards and the Spurs playing, the current Spurs. I mean, yeah, you got a generational player, you got a great player, but it's essentially two bad teams playing each other for the most part. So when you look at it in that perspective, do you think Caitlin Clark makes that difference for the Indiana Fever? I don't know, but the fact that this guy had two lottery picks in Angel Reese and Cardosa. Of course, this will be Cardosa's first game in the WNBA altogether, so you don't know what you're going to get because she's coming off a shoulder injury, so she might not even, it might not be something to write home about, but we have to expect that these are two bad teams that are probably going to show up. They have great players. They have some of the most notable rookies on their teams, but they're still not great teams. They're still lottery teams for the most part. So just like you said, your sentiments, I don't see the Fever being able to beat the Sky with the Sky at home. I think it'll be a very hyped contest because you have those two rookies and much talked about rookies playing against each other. But I think that Angel kind of feels at home doing what she has to do. She doesn't have to be that transcendent player like Caitlin Clark does. She doesn't have to have the ball in her hand all the time. She doesn't have to be the GOAT, if you want to go there, in this situation. So, she's going to be comfortable. So I think she'll get her numbers. I think Caitlin's, like you said, you have players on there, defensive players. They're going to play those passing lanes. They're going to make her struggle passing the ball. They're probably going to pressure her a lot. And I think in the end, the Sky will get this W. But I think it'll be a good game for Caitlin in the sense that this is a rivalry game. And I think she's going to bring it. I think she's going to come to showcase what she can do. I think the Sky's going to make it tough, but I think I'm not going to say she's going to get the numbers she got against, the Sparks last time, the 30-point game. I don't think she's going to get that, but she'll get somewhere in the 20s, maybe a little lower. But I think she's going to show up against this team. It's going to be a special game for her. I think we're going to have a fun time watching what these 2-3 rookies do. I don't know if I'm the Sky, I don't play Cardosa that much because this is her debut. She's had a shoulder injury. She's a big woman. She's I want to say big man, but we're talking position. We're not talking, gender. But it's going to be tough for her because she's going to be banging and battling down there and coming off a shoulder injury. That's not good. So I think we'll see the two main ones, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, show up, and it's going to be a fun game. But I think in the end, the Sky win.
I will say, do you think with how the Sky play defense, do you think there will be a time where Angel Reese gets switched on to Caitlin Clark, off a screen, off a switch, whatever you want to do? Do you think they're going to make a concerted effort? Obviously, not every possession, but at least to get some looks at Caitlin Clark being guarded by Angel Reese.
For eyeballs and for us, for our entertainment, yes, it's going to happen at least once or twice. They're going to somehow get a pick and roll or something where she'll have to switch on to Caitlin Clark, and we're going to see what Caitlin Clark can do against Angel Reese one-on-one. Of course, they're going to, whoever is going to mention that, be like, yeah, let's get a little bit of one-on-one between those two to get a few highlights for Sports Center and all these other things. So yeah, it's going to happen once, at least once.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's going to be something. Somebody's going to say something. Angel Reese is very animated on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, there's going to be some talk. There's going to be some. That is our version of, not even mine, but it's Magic Bird. Actually, both guys could talk the talk. So it's our version of Magic and Bird because the obvious reasons, and yeah, I just think that that's how they're kind of marketing these two. You know,
Okay. No, I can definitely see that. But since we are still on the topic of these rookies, what rookie has impressed you the most so far?
well, I've kind of I've kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think Angel Reese has really impressed me because I didn't watch a ton of Angel Reese during her college days. I watched some of her NCAA stuff, but I wasn't really impressed. But I have been impressed with what she's done at the next level. This is the highest level. So I've been impressed with what she's done. 12 points, 8.6, basically 9 rebounds a game. She's close to being a double double machine as a forward, which is, in the WNBA. In the NBA, that's impressive your rookie year if you can have those kind of high, double digit statistics. But the fact she's doing it, and she wasn't a great scorer in my opinion. From what I saw, she's could be a little bit. I saw her miss some layups that I was like, wow. But for her to transition to this high level and do what she's doing, also Cameron Brink, who plays for the Sparks, I believe.
Yep.
Her 3 blocks a game is crazy. That's huge. Being able to she's what, a forward, I believe.
Hmm.
She's long and lanky. I know that much. But averaging 3 blocks a game is tough for anybody, for men and women. So yeah, she's impressed me as well as Caitlin Clark. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She's got the ball in her hands a lot. So I'm not I'm not going to overly be impressed with her because her numbers are mid, but she's got the ball a lot. So she's going to have a few higher statistics than most of her teammates because she's able to do things she needs to do. But at the end of the day, I think Angel Reese has really impressed me as far as the rookies and also Brink with those 3 blocks a game.
Yeah, so I kind of echo your same sentiments. I also want to give love to Angel Reese as well, especially the 5 consecutive double-digit point outings. I mean,
Mhm.
even somebody like the two other two you mentioned, Cameron Brink and Caitlin Clark, they haven't done that, and that's
Mhm.
definitely to be recommended.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the most impressive to me, I think, is Cameron Brink. I think she doesn't get the same coverage as the other two, but
True.
especially in like so obviously not her last game, when she only had 3 points in the W, of course. Um, but like just looking at what she did against Dallas, and you mentioned the 3 blocks per game, which is out of this world. Like
Hmm.
she was a really good shot blocker in Sanford, but I mean, she is just doing it on the
Female
WNBA.
Wimby. Got the
Like
female
she
Wimby.
is really she's altering shots, blocking shots. I mean, coming out of nowhere at times. Like I
Hmm.
got to give her some props on the defensive end, and just her build. Like she's like a 6'4", like Kevin Durant, Wimby, like
Hmm.
build, like out in the WNBA. I mean, I've seen her put the ball on the floor. I like her
Very
touch.
slim. Yeah.
She's got a very good jump shot. I
Hmm.
mean, just like when she scored 21 against Dallas, I mean, she was doing it on all facets. I mean, yeah, she was in foul trouble, but like just her ability to hit perimeter shots, and given the sample size, because some games she can get like she'll get as much as 12 shots one game, and then the game after that she has three. It's just whatever the team needs from her. If it's elite rim protection, if it's shot making, she can provide it, and she's doing it efficiently. That's the part
Yeah.
that I don't think she gets enough credit for is when her number is called, whether they win or lose, she can score at an efficient level. And again, it's a small sample size, but I like Cameron Brink, and I'm most impressed with her. But obviously,
Hmm.
giving respect to Angel Reese, and of course, Caitlin Clark. Only thing I would say I'm more impressed with her is kind of showing that complete game, not like
Hmm.
you know, a really good shooter and a good passer. I like seeing her game fully fleshed out. I like seeing her crash for rebounds. Getting after it on defense. Like the 30 points, even though that was the most recent game, 3 steals, 3 blocks. That's insane. Like we're not expecting Caitlin Clark to be all active on both ends on the floor because we know she gives a lot of energy and effort, and she commands a lot of attention on the offensive end. So just to see her play both sides of the ball and contribute on that, like to that degree, I think that was very impressive on her part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, her being able to do it on both sides is going to be big for her because we've kind of seen her through a lens of being just an offensive player and being, I guess, if you want to say it, Steph Curry like. But she's been able to do it somewhat on both ends, and being able to do that is big because that's more marketable. You can highlight those things. Like the more she does, and the more she, uh, I guess, brings her bag, whatever you want to call it, is better for the WNBA because they can use that as marketing. And the more they can market her because she's that popular, the more eyeballs she's going to bring to the game. So, also shout out to Alleged Ashley podcast for
I was just about to do that.
for giving us for yes, Angel is doing it. I think she's been my most impressive rookie, but Caitlin Clark, she's going to be. I think she's going to be there for you. Your LeBron. She's going to be my Michael Jordan when it comes to the longevity, not the longevity, but just her abilities and what she's doing for the game. I think she's going to be those type of guys for the females because it's, her what she's doing so far is just crazy, and the amount of publicity and the amount of eyeballs she's bringing in is great for the WNBA, and it's sad that it's like that because you have so many great players. You have the Las Vegas Aces that are so good. They're like the new dynasty. They're like the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs of old, Tim Duncan. They're that good. They have that type of nucleus, but it's Caitlin Clark. So that's all we care about. And but I think that's going to be good for the league as well, because if you have that transcendent player, you can market that player and it should trickle down.
To wrap things up, I'll leave you with this last question, CW. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, and as we know, Caitlin Clark has been getting, a lot of attention. Now, do you think that these, teams like the Aces and Liberty, do you think their star players are making it a concerted effort to buzz Caitlin Clark's to be like, okay, you guys love her and she's cool, but she ain't nothing compared to us. Like, I'm asking you, do you think they're busting her and going at her, picking on her on defense and everything to show the world, like, this is your poster child, but she can't do nothing with me?
Absolutely. I mean, we both played basketball. So if you run the court and that one person comes in and it's supposed to be that guy, he's talking that, and his boys come in, they're saying, we got to run the court. We're going to run these games. What are you going to do? You're going to go at him. You're going to make sure you get him off that court. So, of course, that's what they're going to do. They're going to get her off that court by any means necessary. They want to attack her. That's their primary objective, is to make sure that they show that they are leagues above Caitlin Clark. So, that's just the thrill of the game. That's just the competitiveness of any sport, is you're going to make sure that you show that you are superior. And the fact that you all are the veterans, you're not going to let some rookie come in and take all the spotlight. No, you're going to make sure that, she knows who's in charge in this league.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Definitely in the competitive sense of the game, yes, they're gonna bust her, at any chance they can, because they want to remind everybody that we was whooping tail long before Caitlin Clark came through, and now y'all want to give her all this attention, but y'all should have been paying attention to the real MVPs of this league. So yeah, that's all I had time for. Those are all the segments.
Like I had to do with you and your brother. I had to show y'all I was still the man.
Come on now, don't do that, man. Come on now. The episode was going so good. Don't do that, man.
I had to show y'all. So that's what these vets are doing to Caitlin Clark.
Look, anytime, any place, man. I don't run from no smoke. you ever want to test this dog right here, just let me know, man. I'm only an hour away, so hey, it's right there for you.
25-year-old me could, but 43-year-old me, I can't do it now. But still
But all
top
right,
dog.
y'all. I'm gonna let him think that. But all right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Did you have any last words before we close out?
Please just continue to like and subscribe. We love the feedback. We love you guys telling us when we're wrong, telling us when we're right. So just continue to support the channel and just help us grow. We're trying to get to that 100 mark and can't do it without you guys.
Most definitely. Only 20 subs away from that 100 subscriber goal, where me and CW will finally have the GOAT debate once and for all on the GOAT Cast podcast. So please run those numbers up for us. Check out our videos. Obviously, like we said, for our comment for the Alleged Actually podcast, go check them out too. They do really good content over there. And they put a lot of time and effort, just like we do. So we're going to close out this show. Again, like, comment, subscribe if you're new. Let us know what you think about WNBA Wednesdays, and should they stay, or should we do something else and switch it up? Just let us know and keep supporting us. And that's it.
All right. Well, see you guys later this week or next week.
All right. See y'all.
All right.